Well, hello everyone. It's Sybil Starr here to give the astrology update for the upcoming lunar eclipse on Saturday here in California, July 4th, um, at 9:44 p.m. is the full moon. It is the Capricorn full moon, and with this full moon comes a lunar eclipse. So it is July 4th, 2020 at 9:44 p.m. Pacific time, and it is at 14 degrees of Capricorn. This is a penumbral or partial eclipse. The eclipse itself takes longer than just that moment of the full moon, and so my understanding is that it is just maybe about a top third of the moon that will actually be covered or not be visible at that time. Now, the eclipse actually starts at 8:07 p.m. Its maximum is at 9:29 p.m. and it ends at 10:52 p.m. here on the West Coast. And it is visible all through the United States and South America, Africa, I think a few other places. And so, of course, if you're, other time zones, you'd have to adjust that to your own time zone. And so what happens at a lunar eclipse? At a lunar eclipse, the shadow of the earth comes between the sun and the moon and blocks the light of the sun that is reflected off of the moon. So it's so important to understand that in times of eclipses, it does change the electromagnetic field of the earth as it blocks the light of the sun, and it allows more cosmic energy to enter. And it's really important at this particular lunar eclipse because of the specific cosmic energy that wants to enter. And in general, lunar eclipses usually bring something that has been hidden to light, and it often impacts our relationships if it impacts your chart in a significant way. The other thing I did want to say is at this time we have 5 planets retrograde. Let's see, we have Mercury, Neptune, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. So those are 5 planets. And in retrograde times, things just move slower. It's just things just simply take a little longer to accomplish because often the energy has to go in and be processed and integrated before it can be then put out into the world. So let's just talk about the eclipse and what it actually means astrologically. Well, we're in this big Capricorn energy. This is a year of big Capricorn teachings. And so this is another one. And in the moon, a Capricorn moon often represents there is a new level of emotional maturity that is being required. It's kind of like some adulting is what wants to happen for everyone, no matter what level you are of emotional maturity. It's saying that there are some teachings coming up to grow a little more in that area. And Capricorn, and the lunar eclipse is conjunct the south node. It's what's called a south node lunar eclipse. So that means that there is some energy that wants to be released. And so the energy of Capricorn, I believe, is talking to us about conditioning from the past, who we have been told we are, what we are. And one of the big shadow sides of Capricorn is judgment. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and it is that part of us that is about duality of, right and wrong. And so it's so important to know that judgment usually comes from within first. I mean, we judge others, but first we usually judge ourselves as how somehow we're not measuring up to whatever the ideal is that we feel like we should be, or what the expectations of others are. So there is that need to really look at where judgment may live in our lives, and judgment brings fear. And, people, when they get afraid, can get mean. So it's really important to see, if that is going on anywhere in your field, and look at it and know that it is a time for releasing, but it always starts from within. Somehow we are judging ourselves. Capricorn and Cancer, the opposite, which is the sun is in Cancer, and we'll be talking about that, are also the parental energies. So it's very much also about releasing, you know, the conditioning, not just of the culture, but any parental conditioning that may no longer be serving you. But it's also, like I said, about emotional maturity. It's also about integrity, being responsible. And it's also about ancient wisdom. You know, the wisdom, there is some wisdom from the past that it wants to come through, some remembering. Now, the sun is in Cancer, and it's, you know, exactly opposite because it's at a full moon. And this Cancer sun is also conjunct the asteroid Vesta. And Vesta is the priestess. And it is at 13 or 14, well, basically 14 degrees of Cancer, and this is right in alignment with the star sign, or of the fixed star Sirius. Okay, and so Sirius is the mother energy. The ancient Egyptians believed that Sirius was the celestial form of the goddess Isis, and there are many teachings around the beings here on Earth in 3D have a really big connection with those from the star system of Sirius, who are in the 6th dimension, but who are our star relatives and our star ancestors. But the big thing is the mother energy. Cancer is so much about the love of the mother. It's the archetype of the mother, and on so many levels it's the Holy Mother, the Great Mother, our own mothers, how we mother, the mothering, nurturing, loving energy of the universe, and remembering the Divine Mother. And I feel like at this lunar eclipse, during this time, from especially around maximum, there will be some energies from Sirius and from the Great Mother coming in, some big love energies. And we need to remember that we are loved, that not only are we loved, we are loved. And to go out, maybe do a small ceremony at this time to just take in that energy, because it is bypassing the sun, like I said, because the sun is blocked, not a lot and not for a long time, but enough to where it allows these cosmic energies to come. It's like a portal. Okay, and so it's an opening a heart chakra. Cancer is so much about the heart chakra. So this is a big heart chakra opening time, which is something we really need, and especially if we are healing and releasing issues of judgment. It is important for that love to come in. And Vesta, like I said, is the priestess energy. So it really brings in the component of doing something really sacred during this eclipse. And actually the eclipse season, it lasts for about 3 days. I'm going to say the energy is here for like 3 days. And to just really take that in. Now, the other interesting piece is that this happens on July 4th, and it is conjunct the sun of the chart of the United States. It was when the United States was born. So there is a big piece coming in for the United States. And it feels like everything I said, there is a piece of releasing some old patterns, emotional patterns, and being mature, adulting, and also knowing that the mother loves us all, and that this is a big energy coming in, because we sure need some heart chakra opening here in the United States to love each other and stop judging each other. Okay, all right. So the next thing I want to talk about is Mars in Aries. So Mars has just moved into the sign of Aries, where it's going to be for the next 6 months due to its retrograde motion. At this moment in time, at this eclipse, it's actually in a square to Mercury, and Mercury is retrograde, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I want to just really clarify what Mars in Aries is about, because it's an energy we're going to have for the next 6 months. So the Mars represents birth. It feels like we are in a birthing process, okay? And birth can be messy. And Mars is the warrior archetype. and brings with it life force, vitality, energy, passion. You know, it's like our passions can get really ignited because it brings this up. Uh, but the biggest teaching of Mars is that Mars and Aries, and Mars rules Aries, just so you know, they're very similar energy. It's a really, really big energy. And Mars brings courage. And to have courage, you often have to walk through fear. So it is about walking through our fears. Our fears may be coming up because when Mars comes in, it is about teaching us courage, and it brings with it a challenge. Okay. I've had many Aries people in my life, and I'm going to say, seem to like challenges. But that is the teaching, is how do you develop courage? You develop courage by walking through the fire of your own fear. Mars is also the protector, the defender. Mars often brings in the need to stand up for ourselves. Mars is an individuating energy. It's not so much a cohesive energy as it is an individuating energy of showing us where we need, what we're afraid of and what fear we need to walk through, and yet to know that we've got big energy on our side. And collectively, it is a catalyst. It is always a catalyst. When Mars shows up in your personal chart or in any type of a collective chart, it's a catalyst. It often brings things to a head, things that need to be dealt with. And it just makes things pop. It's action. Mars is just do it. It is a big, big action energy, especially Mars in Aries, because they both say very similar things. Well, basically the same thing. And like I said, it will be with us for 6 months due to its retrograde motion. And it will be squaring all of those planets in Capricorn starting in August. Okay. And I'm not going to talk about, well, I guess I'll just say it because we know it's coming up. One of the challenges we may be facing collectively is civil unrest, as things are constantly changing, and what's happening in our country right now. And the other thing, I feel like this eclipse is going to bring some things to light in the United States that have not, well, just simply, eclipses bring things to light. And Capricorn is the sign of the structures that we have created to support our civilization, such as our government, our banking, finance, corporations, healthcare, all of those different things. And all of those things are up. And I'm going to get just a little bit more into that as we go on. Because what the other thing that is happening at this, now Mars is going to be there for 6 months. But it's in a square right now to Mercury, and Mercury is retrograde in Cancer. It's one of the retrograde planets. And when Mercury is retrograde, we know sometimes communications don't go so well, because when planets are retrograde, they often indicate it's an area of life we've gotten ahead of ourselves, and we need to slow down and catch up with ourselves. So there's often a lot of reflection and internal processing happening during retrograde times. So Mercury retrograde, of course, is communication. So just know that with Mercury retrograde, for the next few weeks communications can be, tied up. But Mars squaring Mercury indicates that, Mars is the warrior. And so it's be careful of your words. Your words can hurt. Okay, it is a reflection on how you communicate and what words you are using, and are you being sensitive? On one hand, Mars asks us to stand up for ourselves, but it can hurt. An unconscious Mars, it can be a very hurtful kind of an energy. And so it's being really careful of how you speak, reflect upon it, think before you speak. But the other thing is that it can also bring in fear of speaking. Well, on one hand, it's about courage to speak. It's about courage to speak up. And the flip side of that is the fear of speaking up. And so if you're afraid to speak up, I feel like the courage will come to say what needs to be said, because Mars does bring that courage in. And to speak from the heart. Yeah, and to speak from the heart. Because as we speak from the heart, there is more truth in that. Yeah, and we're more sensitive when we speak from the heart. Right. Okay. All right. Now, the next thing what that we know is going on is the big Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter conjunction. Saturn is there. All three of those planets are retrograde. They're all moving backwards, or appear to move backwards. Saturn has also moved into Capricorn. He's had a little stay in Aquarius, but he's back into Capricorn. So once again, it's a really big Capricornian energy. And Saturn is the Lord of Karma, and Pluto is the god of death. And when they dance together, transformation is on hand. Yeah, we know we're going through some challenging times. And I'm going to say the Mars there is indicating that it's even magnifying it, because it is a catalyst and it makes things come to head. Pluto brings to light what has been hidden in whatever sign it's traveling, and is traveling, like I said, through Capricorn, which represents the structures of our lives, the structures. The Capricorn represents the structures of our lives and the structures of our civilization. Okay, and we can see what is going on. I mean, everything is being transformed. Nothing is the same. And Pluto brings, like I said, bring things to light. More is constantly being exposed, but the truth is, will we believe what we see? That's always the question. Pluto is exposing the deep underbelly of these structures, and they're coming to light, but coming to light, but do we have the courage to look? And I think that's really the Mars question as well. That's also takes courage. And there's so much misinformation around. I would say, the truth is there. It's just simply hard to find. But there are just some really big questions that really need to be asked. We need to ask some hard questions right now, because we're moving into some times, I'm going to say, the potential for civil unrest from all of the people who are going to be economically impacted in a very negative way, who have been and will continue to be impacted very negatively. And as we move deeper into this, and more truth starts to come out, some of the questions we may want to just simply be asking, was the lockdown and the tanking of the economy necessary? And who benefited from that? In these times, the hard truths are follow the money. That will really tell you what is really going on. This is not just about a health crisis. This is actually, the Pluto-Saturn conjunction is so much about power and control. Okay, it's not about health and well-being. It is about power and control. And on one hand, yes, this is a health issue, but it is a health issue that may be being manipulated. And I'm just going to say to just hold that possibility in your hand, because we are also in times of where the field of all possibility is opening widely. And there is potential to move, to really impact what we call reality, as our understanding of the nature of reality is changing. And this is the nodes of the moon. They are really showing us the way forward. Well, there's two things I want to talk about. I think first I'm really going to talk about the Uranus and Taurus, because we are moving through some really challenging times where some really hard questions need to be asked of what is happening, and just not believing everything that we are told, because it's not true. And what is true, it is hard to find, but it is there. And you just have to follow those threads of truth that lead you. but start asking hard questions. But also, you know, we also have Mother Earth here, and Mother Earth is telling us to, you know, to be grounded, to be in the present moment. The present moment is really the only real truth there is. And so look around you and what is going on. Do you know people that are sick? Are you sick? What is going on in your actual life? And always find something to be grateful for. It is so important. We all have blessings. And as we are in the present moment, we can say, you know, thank you for my good health. Thank you that I have a home. Thank you that I have food on the table, because we're going through some hard times and some people may not have that. And all the ways that we can move through this energy in a calm place of presence, it will be what will really help us. Because things are changing. The world in which we have been living is being exposed. We've just gone too far. Mother Earth is just telling us we have poisoned her and poisoned ourselves, and this is what is showing up. And it's about waking up to that truth, to that reality. And how do we do that? And the way forward, what we're being shown is the nodes of the moon that is in a square to Neptune. You know, the north node is in Gemini, the south node is in Sagittarius, and Neptune is that field of all possibility. It is the field of love. It is that place where we are all one. It is the quantum field. And so Mercury has to do with questioning, being heretics, questioning everything, and also being open to the wonder and the possibility that, you know, there is so much more than this. And the South Node in Sagittarius is about releasing old beliefs that no longer serve us as we open to that field of all possibility. I recently had an experience where I went to that field beyond right and wrong. What is it, that poem from Rumi that says, there is a field beyond right and wrong. I will meet you there. And that field actually exists, and it is the field of love, and it is the field of all possibility. And the other key to moving through this time is to raise our vibration into that vibration of love, into the love of the mother, and knowing that we are loved. We are facing a challenge right now, and we can do this, and we can actually impact the outcome by the raising of our vibration, of putting that love vibration into the field. You know, we are creators, and we have forgotten that. And because we are creating this world at every moment, we are the co-creators of what is happening now. There are some who say we brought this upon ourselves so that we could wake up. Mother Earth, we could wake up to what the damage we're doing to Mother Earth and to each other, and that we are all one, and we are all in this together, and we are love, and we are raising this vibration. Mother Earth is moving into a 5D reality, and we in this time of breakdown, we can create a new reality. And it is all through prayer. It is through vibration. It is how we interact with each other. And the other message that I got so strongly was that working together with focused intention of co-creation and it is the frequency that creates the reality, and working together and being aware of this. Yes, on one hand, things are falling apart and are very challenging, but it's like it has to fall apart for us to move on into a new reality, and to understand in this new reality, nothing is impossible. You know, vision big, see the world you want, and know that it is in the process of forming, but we have to let the other one, it either has to go, or its vibration needs to rise to the vibration and the energy, to the vibration of Mother Earth. We all need to align with the vibration of Mother Earth. And that's why it is so important to be with her and to know that she is our guide, our teacher, and our Star Nation relatives are also coming in right now to help us. And to not shy away from the challenge that is ahead of us, and to know that we can do it. All right, wishing you well on this holiday weekend, and may you all go out and receive the love and the blessings of the Great Mother as her energy pours into this dimension. All right, thank you.